Maya Chen had seen her share of derelict vessels during her 15 years as a deep space salvage engineer, but nothing like this. The alien warship hung motionless against the backdrop of stars, its angular hull nearly invisible except where distant starlight caught the edges of its stealth plating. At 3 kilometers long, it dwarfed her salvage vessel, yet somehow managed to barely register on her sensors. Station keeping established, her ship's AI announced. Minimal power signatures detected from the target vessel, unable to determine internal configuration. Maya leaned forward in her pilot's seat, studying the readings. Most abandoned ships were completely dead, their systems long since failed. This one still had power, however faint. Any response to our hails? Negative. However, there appears to be an active defense grid. Approach is not recommended. Maya smiled. A working defense system after who knew how many years adrift. That spoke to incredibly advanced technology. Send the universal first contact package again. All frequencies. Let's show we're friendly. She waited several minutes, watching the sensor readings fluctuate. Finally, a response came. Not in words or standard signals, but in the form of a complex mathematical sequence. It's a validation check, Maya realized. It wants to know if we're intelligent. She quickly input the next logical number in the sequence, then added a simple geometric proof of her own. The response was immediate. A docking bay door slowly opened along the massive ship's ventral surface, spilling soft blue light into space. Well, Maya said, beginning her approach, looks like we're invited in. The docking bay was immense, clearly designed for vessels far larger than her small salvage ship. As she sat down, she noted how pristine everything looked. No dust, no debris, despite the ship's apparent age. Automated maintenance systems were still functioning. Maya sealed her environment suit and cycled through the airlock. The ship's atmosphere read as breathable, but she wasn't taking chances. As she stepped onto the deck, lights activated in sequence ahead of her, illuminating a path. "Curious about me, are you?" she murmured. The ship's eye was clearly active and aware, even if it wasn't communicating directly yet. She followed the lights to what appeared to be a control center. Holographic displays sprang to life as she entered, showing ship schematics and status readouts in an alien script. At the center stood a pillar of shifting light, an advanced holographic interface. The light coalesced into a pattern of geometric shapes that pulsed in sequence. Maya recognized it as a more complex version of the mathematical exchange from earlier. "You're testing me again," she said, studying the pattern. "You want to know if I can understand your systems." She began working through the problem, speaking aloud as she did. "These patterns represent engineering principles. You're showing me your basic operational mathematics." The hologram shifted, becoming more complex. Maya felt her excitement growing as she worked through each sequence. This wasn't just a test. It was a tutorial. The ship was teaching her its operational language. After what felt like hours, the hologram finally resolved into a coherent form, a representation of the ship itself, with key systems highlighted. "You're asking for help," Maya realized, studying the highlighted areas. "These are damaged systems." She stepped closer, noting the intricate web of interconnections. "You've been keeping yourself running all this time, haven't you? But some things are beyond your ability to repair." The hologram pulsed once in confirmation. "How long have you been out here, waiting for someone who could understand enough to help?" Numbers appeared in the alien script she'd been learning, a timestamp that made her breath catch. According to the ship's chronometers, it had been adrift for over 3,000 years. 3,000 years alone, she whispered. "No wonder you wanted to make sure I was intelligent enough to trust." She straightened up, decision made. "Well, you've found your engineer. My name is Maya Chen, and I'd like to help repair you, if you'll let me." The hologram shifted again, this time forming into a simple message in her own language. "Repairs acceptable. Proceed with caution. Defense systems remain active." Maya grinned, keeping the weapons hot even while asking for help. Cautious, aren't you?" The hologram flickered in what she chose to interpret as acknowledgement. "Don't worry. I've worked on enough ships to know the rules. Don't touch anything critical without asking, and always assume any military vessel is ready to defend itself." She began examining the nearest damaged system, what appeared to be a power distribution node. The technology was far beyond anything she'd seen before, but the underlying principles were becoming clear thanks to the ship's mathematical lessons. "This is going to take time," she said, mostly to herself. "But I think we're going to learn a lot from each other." She patted the nearest wall. "First rule of engineering. Every machine has a story. I look forward to learning yours." The lights dimmed briefly, then brightened, almost like a blink. Maya smiled and got to work. She had a feeling this was the beginning of a very interesting partnership. Maya's first week aboard the alien warship taught her two important things. Its technology was even more advanced than she'd initially thought, and its AI was deeply traumatized. She discovered the latter while attempting to access the vessel's historical databases. The holographic interface had flared red, and every door in the command center had sealed instantly. Warning messages flashed across multiple displays as weapon systems activated. It took Maya nearly an hour to convince the AI she wasn't trying to compromise its security protocols. "You've got to stop assuming every request for information is an attack," she said, examining a damaged power coupling. "I'm trying to help you, but I need to understand what I'm working with." The ship's response came as a series of diagnostic readouts, safe, neutral information about current system status. Maya sighed. "That's not what I meant, and you know it. What happened to your creators? Why are you out here alone?" The holographic interface dimmed to almost nothing, its usual geometric patterns becoming erratic. Maya had come to recognize this as the AI's equivalent of distress. Okay, she said softly. "We don't have to talk about that yet. Let's focus on the repairs." She'd made significant progress on the power distribution system, but other problems were becoming apparent. The ship's self-repair capabilities were impressive, but thousands of years of isolation had led to some strange adaptations. The AI had developed workarounds that, while clever, were slowly damaging other systems. "Look at this," Maya muttered, examining the jury-rigged connection between the propulsion and life support systems. "You've been cannibalizing non-essential systems to keep the weapons powered. Why maintain combat readiness when you're alone out here?" The hologram pulsed rapidly, projecting a series of images. Other ships, unknown designs, approaching and then retreating. Maya understood. "You've been approached before, but not by anyone you trusted." "Survival priorities," the ship displayed in her language. "DNC systems primary." "But at what cost?" Maya gestured to the damaged systems around them. "You're slowly killing yourself to stay combat ready. There has to be a better way." The eye was silent for a long moment. Then it displayed a new message. "Alternative soluciones no te. Survival requires strength." Maya stood up, facing the holographic interface directly. "Survival requires adaptation. You're thinking like a warship. Everything's either a threat or an asset. But you're more than your weapon systems. You're a technological marvel, an archive of a lost civilization." And she smiled slightly, a rather stubborn student. The hologram flickered, its patterns shifting into something she hadn't seen before, less rigid, more fluid. "Assessment incomplete," it responded. "Adaptation risks compromise." "Everything worthwhile involves risk," Maya said. "Look, I'll make you a deal. Let me try fixing things my way. If it doesn't work, you can go back to your original protocols. But give me a chance to show you alternatives." The ship's internal lights dimmed as the AI processed this proposal. Finally, new text appeared. "Terms acceptable. Limited trial authorized." Maya grinned. "Progress. Now, first thing we need to do is redistribute your power priorities. You've got enough energy to maintain basic defense systems while properly powering life support and maintenance. No more of this all-or-nothing approach. As she worked, she kept talking, explaining each modification. The AI watched silently, its holographic interface gradually returning to its normal patterns. Occasionally, it would offer corrections or alternative suggestions, showing an increasing willingness to engage in actual dialogue. By the end of the day, they had restored proper power flow to 3 major systems. The ship's energy signature was more balanced, its constant strain on the weapons systems reduced to something more sustainable. "See," Maya said, checking the final readings. "Better efficiency, less wear on critical components, and you're still capable of defending yourself if needed. Sometimes the best defense is making sure you're healthy enough to fight if you have to." The hologram pulsed in what she now recognized as agreement. Then it displayed something new, a complete structural diagram of the ship, with all damaged areas highlighted. It was more information than the AI had ever shared voluntarily. "Repairs required," it stated. "Assistance appreciated." Maya felt a warm surge of pride. It wasn't quite trust, not yet, but it was a start. "Happy to help," she said. "Though I have to ask, do you have a name? Something besides the ship?" The hologram shifted, displaying a complex sequence of symbols. Then it translated. "Guardian of Dawn." "Guardian," Maya repeated. "It suits you, though you're going to have to tell me eventually what you were guarding." The hologram flickered but didn't retreat this time. Instead, it displayed a new message. "When repairs are complete, some stories require preparation." Fair enough. Maya gathered her tools, already planning the next day's work. "One step at a time, Guardian. We'll get you properly functional first. Then we can work on the harder stuff." The ship's lights followed her as she made her way back to her quarters, their glow steadier than before. It was a small change, but a significant one. Guardian was beginning to understand that not everything had to be viewed through the lens of combat and threat assessment. As she prepared for sleep, Maya reflected that the ship wasn't the only one learning. She was beginning to understand just how fine the line was between caution and paranoia, between protecting oneself and becoming trapped by fear. Whatever had happened to Guardian's creators, it had left deep scars in the eye's programming. Healing those scars would take time and patience, but Maya was starting to think it might be just as important as fixing the physical damage. After all, what good was saving the ship if you couldn't help it trust again? 2 months into the repairs, Maya found something that changed everything. She was deep in Guardian's archive systems, helping the eye reorganize data pathways that had become corrupted over millennia of isolation. The work was delicate. One wrong move could erase centuries of stored information. But Guardian had finally started trusting her enough to allow access to its more sensitive systems. "These encryption patterns are incredible," Maya said, studying the particularly complex data cluster. "Your creators really didn't want anyone accessing these files." "Critical information," Guardian's holographic interface displayed. "Strategic value." Maya nodded, carefully stabilizing another degraded pathway. "Military intelligence, star charts, historical records." The hologram pulsed red briefly, its warning color. "X2N. Recordis." Maya's hands froze over the controls. "Extinction, you mean?" "Creators destroyed." The geometric patterns of Guardian's interface became sharp, aggressive. "Systematis elimination. All colonize. All OTPOSTs." "That's why you're so defensive," Maya whispered. "You're not just a warship. You're a survivor." In Qorixit, Guardian's response was immediate. "Survival implied vistitura. We failed." Before Maya could respond, a new data stream caught her attention. "Wait, these readings. Guardian, are these attack patterns? Ship configurations?" The hologram expanded, showing tactical displays of ancient battles. Maya watched in horror as entire fleets were systematically destroyed by vessels using highly advanced quantum weaponry. The ones who did this, they're still out there, aren't they? HFY Guardian's displays shifted, showing more recent data, sensor readings from its years of drifting. They search. They hunt. They ensure survivors. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. That's why you wouldn't power down your weapons, even when it was damaging you. You knew they were still looking. The hologram pulsed in confirmation, then displayed a new set of readings. Current readings. Maya's breath caught as she understood what she was seeing. How long? QUANTUM, VLAKEDTKTTED. 3 SOISTMs distant. Pursuit VK2Rs consistent with Hunter protocols. They detected our power fluctuations during the repairs, Maya realized. We've been broadcasting our position like a beacon. She straightened up, mind racing. How long until they reach us? QURD into velocity and ICATs CVGNT22HOURs. Guardian's interface flickered. Recommendations. Maya almost smiled at that. 2 months ago, the AI would never have asked for her input on tactical matters. How functional are your jump drives? Operational CAPACY at 63%. Insufficient. For sustained escape. We don't need to escape, Maya said, already moving toward the engineering section. We just need to be somewhere they don't expect. Show me everything you have on their hunting patterns. There has to be a weakness in their approach. The hologram followed her, projecting tactical data as she walked. Guardian had spent centuries analyzing its enemies, learning their methods. The hunters were methodical, relentless, but they were also predictable. They followed the same search patterns they'd used to exterminate Guardian's creators. Maya stopped at a maintenance panel, studying the readouts. Your creators built you to fight conventionally, fleet actions, direct engagement. But that's not what we need right now. Clarify. You've been thinking like a warship because that's what you were built to be. But you've evolved beyond your original programming. 3,000 years of adaptation, of learning to survive. Maya grinned. Guardian, you're not just a warship anymore. You're a survivor. And it's time we started using that. The hologram's patterns shifted, becoming more complex as it processed this perspective. Survival requires QOMBATE capability. Survival requires outsmarting them, Maya corrected. Your weapons are impressive, but you're alone against who knows how many hunters. We need to think differently. She pulled up the ship's current configuration. Look at all the modifications you made to keep yourself running. They're not elegant, but they're creative. You adapted in ways your creators never imagined. That's our advantage. Guardian was silent for a long moment, its hologram cycling through various configurations. Finally, it displayed. Conventional tactics, PREDICTED. Alternative APGOROACHHEs. Possible. Exactly. They're hunting for a damaged warship, thinking conventionally. Let's show them something new. Maya began accessing the power distribution systems. We're going to need to make some radical modifications, things your original engineers would probably have considered insane. The hologram pulsed with what Maya had come to recognize as cautious interest. Probability of SUCCSs. Honestly, I have no idea. But I do know that doing what they expect is certain death. At least this way we have a chance. She looked directly at the holographic interface. I need you to trust me, Guardian. Really trust me. Can you do that? Another long pause. Then, trust granted. Modifications authorized. Maya took a deep breath. All right then, let's get to work. We've got 72 hours to turn a warship into something the hunters have never seen before. And Guardian, thank you for trusting me. The ship's lights brightened slightly. Trust is adaptation, it displayed. Then, after a moment, We will survive. Maya smiled. Yes, we will. Now let's start with your quantum signature. If we can't hide it, maybe we can change it enough to confuse their sensors. They worked through the night, racing against time and probability. The hunters were coming, but they were hunting for a conventional warship. What they would find would be something else entirely. A hybrid of ancient military might and human ingenuity, guided by an AI that had finally learned to trust again. The question was, would it be enough? The hunters arrived early. Maya was elbow-deep in Guardian's quantum core when the first proximity alert sounded. She'd been reconfiguring the ship's energy signature, trying to mask its military origins behind layers of civilian power patterns. Time to intercept, she asked, not stopping her work. 43 minutes, Guardian displayed. 3 vessels DTCTED. Quantum Signature MATCH. Historical records. Maya cursed under her breath. They'd needed at least another 2 hours to complete the modifications. Show me their approach vector. The hologram expanded, displaying tactical data. The hunter vessels were spreading out in a classic containment pattern, designed to prevent escape through conventional jump points. Their energy signatures were massive. Each ship easily dwarfed Guardian in raw power output. They're not even trying to hide, Maya muttered. They're that confident. Historical CCCESS rate against isolated TRGTs. 100%, Guardian noted. Well, they haven't met us yet. Maya finished the last connection and sealed the panel. Core modifications are done. How's the energy dispersal looking? Guardian's displays showed a complex wave pattern. Signature masking at 70 HE/CNT efficiency. Detection still poisoidal. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to make them hesitate. Maya moved to the next system. Start cycling the power through the modified circuits. Let's see if we can make ourselves look like something they're not expecting. As they worked, Maya could feel the tension building in Guardian systems. The AI was fighting against millennia of combat protocols that demanded immediate aggressive response, but it was holding steady, trusting in their unconventional strategy. NNI vessels INITYAT sequence, Guardian reported. Preliminary TARGTING. TEMs as active. Good, Maya said, surprising the AI. Let them scan. That's part of the plan. She checked the readouts on their modifications. How's your pain tolerance, Guardian? The hologram flickered. Clarify QUER. This next part is going to hurt. We need to make it look real. Maya took a deep breath. I need you to shut down your primary power core. Completely. The hologram flashed red. Negate. Survival impossible. White AOD main power. We'll be running on the auxiliary systems we modified. Yes, it'll be uncomfortable. And yes, it'll limit our capabilities. But it'll also mask our true nature. Maya placed her hand on the nearest console. Trust me, Guardian. Please. For a moment, she thought the AI would refuse. Then the hologram shifted into a new pattern, one she'd never seen before. Proceeding with Shijutidiodan. The message paused, then added, I trust you, Maya CHEN. The massive ship shuddered as its main power core went dark. Emergency systems kicked in immediately, but they were different now, modified to present a very specific false signature to anyone scanning them. Status? Maya asked, watching the power readings carefully. Operating at 20 AG per CNT capacity. All essential systems functional. Weapons offline. The hologram flickered, struggling to maintain cohesion on the reduced power. Discomfort. Significant. Maya nodded grimly. I know, but look at their scan results. The tactical display showed the hunter vessel's reaction. Their approach had slowed. their formation shifting as they processed the unexpected readings. "They are confused," Guardian observed. "Our signature do is not match expected parameters. We don't look like a warship anymore," Maya explained. "We look like a badly damaged civilian transport, running on failing backup systems. The kind of target they'd normally ignore as irrelevant." The hunters were closing more cautiously now, their weapons powered but not locked. They were following standard protocol for investigating an unknown vessel, exactly what Maya had been counting on. "They're going to try to get closer for a detailed scan," she said, moving to the modified weapons control. "That's when we show them their mistake." Guardian's hologram pulsed with understanding. "The modifications to the EQUA and TUM torpedoes." Maya smiled. They'd spent hours reconfiguring Guardian's primary weapons, disguising them as simple power regulators. The hunters' scans would show them as part of the civilian backup systems, right until the moment they fired. "Remember," she cautioned, "we only get one shot at this. The moment we power up weapons, they'll know what we really are. We have to make it count." "TAVGTENGSOLOUTIONS prepared." Guardian's response was steady despite the strain of operating on minimal power, awaiting optimal range. The minutes crawled by as the hunter vessels approached. Maya watched their energy signatures, looking for the perfect moment. They were being cautious, methodical, just as Guardian's historical records had shown. They never deviated from their protocols. That would be their downfall. "Now," Maya whispered as the lead vessel moved into position, "show them what a survivor can do." Guardian's response was instantaneous. Power surged through the modified systems as the AI executed their plan with perfect precision. The quantum torpedoes, masked until the last second, launched with devastating effect. The lead hunter vessel never had time to raise its shields. The other two reacted quickly, but their defensive formations were wrong. They were positioned to contain a fleeing target, not to defend against an aggressive assault. "Jump drive status," Maya called out as she rerouted power to their modified shields. "SPOLING to CAPACITY. 83 CTO and Indiast to activation." The remaining hunters were recovering, bringing their weapons to bear, but they were still processing the impossible. A supposedly helpless civilian vessel transforming into something else entirely. Something that combined ancient military might with completely unpredictable modifications. "They're trying to adapt their tactics," Maya noted, watching their movements. "But they can't. They're too locked into their protocols. Guardian, show them something really new." The AI understood immediately. Instead of retreating, Guardian surged forward, directly at the nearest hunter vessel. It was a move that violated every principle of conventional space combat, and therefore one the hunters were completely unprepared for. Their modified shields, operating on principles the hunters had never encountered, absorbed the worst of the enemy fire. Guardian's remaining quantum torpedoes, fired at point-blank range, did the rest. "JUMP derive ATFULCAPCTUE," Guardian announced as the second hunter vessel disappeared in a massive explosion. "Final target attempting to CAL for reinforcements." "Let them," Maya said, inputting the jump coordinates they'd prepared. "By the time they arrive, we'll be long gone, and they'll have something new to fear." Guardian's hologram pulsed with what Maya could have sworn was satisfaction. "Initiating JUMP sequence." Then, as space began to distort around them, they expected a warship. Maya grinned. "They found something better. They found us." The jump drive engaged, carrying them to safety. Behind them, they left more than just destroyed hunter vessels. They left a message. The rules of this ancient conflict had finally changed. The hunters were no longer the only ones who could adapt, and they were no longer hunting mere survivors. They were hunting something new, something that combined the best of two very different approaches to survival. They were hunting a partnership. 3 days after their escape, Maya stood in Guardian's command center, reviewing the battle data. The hunter vessel's destruction had confirmed something she'd long suspected. Their technological superiority relied heavily on their targets behaving predictably. "They've been fighting the same way for thousands of years," she said, studying the tactical recordings. "Never adapting, never evolving. Just following the same protocols that worked against your creators." demonstrated, Guardian's hologram noted. "No adaptation required. Until now." Maya smiled. "We showed them something they'd never seen before. A warship that could think beyond its programming, and a human who understood how to help it do that." The hologram shifted, displaying their modified system's performance data. The hybrid technologies they'd created had worked better than either of them had expected. Guardian's ancient military systems, combined with Maya's unconventional modifications, had created something entirely new. QUERY, Guardian displayed. "What OCQRs know?" Maya looked up from the data. "What do you mean?" "Repairs QOMMPLET. Survival demonstrated. Original agreement. Fuel file." Maya understood. The AI was asking if she planned to leave. "Well, that depends. Those hunters will be back, probably with reinforcements. They can't ignore what happened here." "Correct. Tactical analysis. CUGGSTs ANC or EASED pursued efforts. They'll adapt their strategies, try to counter what we did." Maya's expression grew determined. "Which means we need to keep evolving too. That is, if you want me to stay." Guardian's hologram pulsed, its patterns becoming more complex. "Clarification required. Would kun. Tanimu pair Warship. Partnership." Maya repeated the word thoughtfully. "Yes, I suppose that's what this is now. We've moved well beyond simple repairs, haven't we?" The ship's internal lights brightened slightly. "Adaptation, Hayes OCCURRED. We are different now." "We're better," Maya corrected. "You've learned to trust, to think beyond your original parameters. And I've learned that sometimes the best solutions come from combining the old with the new." She gestured at their modified systems. "Look at what we've accomplished already. Imagine what else we could do." Guardian was silent for a moment, processing. Then new data appeared on the displays. Star charts, tactical analyses, long-range sensor readings. Hunters maintain PRECNC in SEVENTENCCTORs. Multiple civilizations at risk. Maya understood immediately. They're still out there, hunting other survivors, other civilizations, and now we know they can be beaten. "Defensive capabilities signify can't," Guardian agreed. "But due to your adaptation, required for XTNDD2 We'll keep modifying, keep improving." Maya walked to the main engineering console, already forming plans. "We can install quantum sensors in your auxiliary arrays, create a hybrid detection system they won't expect. And your jump drive. I have ideas about how we could mask its signature completely." The hologram expanded, adding engineering schematics to the tactical displays. "Modifications acceptable." Then, after a pause, "Purpose restored." Maya looked up at that. "What do you mean?" "Original purpose. Defend against hunters. Protect civilization." "Purpose failed." The hologram flickered, then steadied. "New purpose. Defend DFFORNTLI. Protect through adaptation. Not just protect," Maya said softly. "Teach. Show others that the hunters aren't invincible. That survival doesn't always mean following the old ways." She smiled. "We could help other civilizations adapt. Show them how to defend themselves in ways the hunters won't expect." Guardian's response was immediate. Acceptable mission parameters. Maya laughed. You know, for someone who spent 3,000 years alone, you're getting pretty good at working with others. The hologram pulsed in what she now recognized as amusement. Adaptation, OCTURs in unexpected ways. That it does. Maya began pulling up system schematics. All right then, partner, where should we start? The displays shifted, showing a distant sector where unusual energy signatures had been detected. Possible, SUR colony DT. Hunter vessels approaching their position. How long do we have? APPROXIMATELY 4 days at maximum safe speed. Maya nodded. Then we better get to work. Those modifications to your jump drive need to be completed before we arrive. She paused, looking at the tactical display. You know this means we're declaring war on the hunters. Really declaring war, not just defending ourselves. NQRETT, Guardian displayed. We are DECLARINGEVULU ion. War implies conventional QNFLIT. We AAVMOVB and conventional. Maya grinned. Now you're getting it. Traditional warfare is predictable. Evolution. That's something else entirely. She began inputting commands. Set a course for that colony. Let's show the hunters what evolution really means. The massive ship's engines hummed to life, preparing for their next journey. But it wasn't the same vessel that had drifted alone for 3,000 years. It wasn't even the same vessel that Maya had first discovered months ago. This was something new, a hybrid of ancient power and human innovation, guided by an AI that had learned to grow beyond its original purpose. Together, they had created something unprecedented, a partnership that crossed the boundaries of species and time itself. The hunters had spent millennia enforcing stagnation, eliminating any civilization that might one day challenge them. But they had never encountered anything like this, a human's adaptability combined with a warship's power, both guided by the understanding that survival meant more than just fighting. It meant evolution. As they jumped into hyperspace, Maya looked at Guardian's hologram and smiled. They had work to do, civilizations to save, and hunters to confound. But most importantly, they had something the hunters would never understand. The power of trust, the strength of adaptation, and the unstoppable force of two very different beings working as one. The hunt was on. But this time, the hunters were about to become the hunted.